we're ready to rock and roll. I am super excited tonight. It's kind of goes for par for the course at this time in history that we get to have like some challenges there, but you know, it's kind of, I'm just glad you guys are here. I get so excited for all of our classes that we usually have, but unfortunately we get to adapt, improvise, and overcome. So I just really want to just welcome you guys to the Bulletproofing Your Immune System class. You know, and I think the important thing is that in this process, there's so much fear out there, and really my mission right now is just to make sure that we break that fear. I mean, if you look around, there's you know, wherever you guys look, there's all kinds of stuff that's happening. We have, you know, even like if you go back a couple days in the New England Journal of Medicine, right? And it says that the case fatality rate is going to be less than 1%. And that's like different than what everybody else is hearing, you know, and this is actually from Dr. Fauci. And he basically says that, you know, this is not going to even, be something that's that compares to like SARS or MERS or a lot of the other things that we've experienced in the past. I mean, and I think what's interesting, and I don't know if you guys saw in the newspaper the other day, there was a very interesting article that talked about possibly in this valley, that we've already been exposed to this as early as December and November. And that's one of the reasons why we're not seeing the same issues. All I know is this, is that in the grand scheme of things, let me go back here. There are, there we go, good. What happened here? Sorry about that. Yeah, there's a lot more questions for all of us to really contemplate right now, really as a nation. And I do think at this time it's a really important thing in history because, you know, we've had all this whistleblowing and it's really been a powerful weapon against the public, and there's all kinds of private wrongdoings in America. We've, you know, in the last several months, we've had election corruption and opioid addiction, and, you know, all the college admissions scandal from the elitist kids. And, you know, then there was Trump's impeachment trial, and then the Me Too movement, and the list goes on and on and on. And I really think that, you know, while freedom of expression and consciousness is a treasured American ideal, my belief is that there's really such a rash of expression that's created a lot of division and distrust and disunity right now. And so, you know, I think where are the boundaries? And, you know, the focused attention on living to our principles and really being the light, and as versus sounding the alarm of, you know, unethical models and all these associated behaviors, you know, of big pharma and the sick care model system. And so I think at this time, as we go through this bulletproofing your immune system, I'm going to reference back to Winston Churchill. And what he said I thought was really important. He said that courage is what it takes to stand up and speak, but courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. And so really what I'm asking you to do tonight is to really step out into a new world, and step out of the world that the media is creating, and really creating a lot of confusion and stress for just a little while tonight. And I mean, all the whistleblowing has become mainstream in today's landscape. So, and what it's done is it's sown seeds of division and disunity and distrust. And I really think my goal tonight is that we don't even know what truth is anymore. And I think that's a big challenge. So my goal right now is to really get down and just speak facts. Now, I'm not going to give you an opinion, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to really focus on root causation, like the keys, you know, removing interference of all forms and really restoring the fullness of human potential to our mind and to our spirit there. And so that's really my goal today. And so, it really falls in line with our mission. And our mission is that we really want to transform lives. If you're a patient here, you'll notice that it's all about transforming in the lives. We just want to restore families to wholeness in this fractured society and just create outrageous health. And really, our goal is to ignite this healthcare revolution. And a revolution means coming back to where we started there. And here's how we do it. We do it one family at a time. We do it one person at a time. We do it one community at a time. And so we're really on a mission to help people discover their life. And, you know, it's interesting at a time like this, most people didn't put any, effort into their life. And then all of a sudden they have the prospect of losing their life. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to give up everything that I have just to be able to save my life. And so really what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to be really sharing with you the most important strategies to bulletproof your immune system. That's really my goal. And so in the next 50 minutes or so, we're really going to discover what we call the 5 most important things that you need to know to bulletproof your immune system. That's not only going to allow you to feel get better, but allow you to function better, and to actually reduce the chances that you're going to be hit by disease, and reduce the risk of not having to take drugs or having surgery. So if that's interesting to anybody, just give a thumbs up on that. Hopefully that's what you want out of tonight. But my promise is this: in this workshop, we're really going to talk about the 5 most important strategies. And by the way, here's an important thing to understand. 4 of them impact your health, and only 1 of them controls your health. And so type it in there. I'm curious, which one do you guys think is the most important? Let's take a little poll. What you guys think is the kind of the thing that controls your health? And I think the one that controls your health and the ones that impact your health, as a doctor, I've been researching and teaching for over 25 years, and we don't have a day here to really go over everything that I would normally talk about. I'd love to have you guys sit down at dinner with me, and we'd stay up till 2 a.m. there. But what I'm going to teach you is those 5 things that will impact and control your health, and they're going to allow you to function better. They're going to allow you to increase your energy levels. They're going to allow you to make things better. But I'm also going to help you they're also going to help you minimize your chances of ever getting sick. And that's really one of my number 1 goals right now. Is I think that and most of our fears is about getting sick. And so the other thing is that, where was I going to go with this? Sorry. But really what we're going to do is we're going to teach you those things, control your health, and they're going to allow you to, like I said, function better. But I guess the question is, how many of you people would like to discover that, right? Just give me a thumbs up and let me know if that's really what your goal is there. So I've done a lot of workshops, and I've done tons of workshops, and I've taught seminars all over the country. And the one thing that I've learned in interacting with almost 1 million patients is that the people that get the most out of their workshops are the ones that actually engage there. And so just give us feedback. Put your questions in there. I'm going to be going over all these questions at the end of the night, but it's just like going to the gym. So if you're a person who thinks about going to the gym, and as opposed to a person who actually goes to the gym, who's going to get better results, right? Like the person actually does it, person A or person B. And so I'm going to have you engage. I'm going to have you give thumbs up. If you can't raise your hand, if I can't see you, that means that you probably have a frozen shoulder, and just I can help with that. So I am curious, how many of you online have been to a class before? And just put the number of classes you've been in there. And I think that when you've come to a class or any other class besides mine, you probably learned a lot of amazing information, but for some reason you failed to implement. Anybody can do that. I do that myself, right? I have notebooks full of stuff, but I hope today is really going to be different. And if this information moves you and it makes sense to you, at the end, I'm really going to give you an opportunity to implement this idea so that you and your family can have really the best results possible. I mean, is everybody cool with that? All right. So I'm going to move through this slide here. So I guess the first thing we got to start off is that everyone is focused on the strength of the virus, but nobody's focused on the strength of the host. I mean, most people don't think I'm the problem, right? We always think the virus is the problem, but nobody thinks that I'm the problem and I need to improve my immune system, except for you guys that are here tonight. Even though the one thing that everyone agrees upon, regardless of your political party, regardless of what state you're in, is that you are at risk if your immune system's weak. So look, we're born superheroes, right? We were born a superhero, but we've become weak. I mean, you don't have to become a hero. You were born one. But because of our lifestyle choices that we've been taught, and the choices that we've been making, we have weakened ourselves and we have taken away our superhero powers here. So listen, the research has already been done, right? If you look at the research, and I'm just looking at right over here, this is in 2017, this is in the world. So if we're going to be concerned about something, look at that top number, 17.79 million people die from of cardiovascular disease. We got 10 million people dying of cancer. We have, almost 4 million people dying of respiratory disorders. And look at this, 2.5 million people dying of dementia. Think about that. Where is the quarantines for dementia? Even when we go down to homicide, where are the quarantines for homicide? I would suggest to you that if we wanted to quarantine somebody, let's quarantine ourselves for homicide and we'll save 500,000 people in this world. Look, look at your grandparents, look at your parents. We see the trends in society, and we see what's going on with obesity rates and what's happened in the last 25 years. People talk about their genes, and that their genes are the root cause of illness. Like, how much of people's genes change, right? I mean, you see the trends that have been happening with obesity and cancer and heart disease, and it's gone sideways. And, oh, we can't see the slides. All right, let me go back to this and make sure we see the slides here. Sorry about that, guys. Let me disconnect this. Well, that would have been nice. Take the guest out of there. I'm going to share my screen. That'll be even better. There we go. Look at that. That is amazing, right? All right, Doctor, you can take off the link there. All right, so back to where we started there. But really, I think the main thing is that people, how much of people's genes change, and you can really see that they've been happening. That you see the trends with obesity and cancer and heart disease, and it's really gone sideways. And the thing is, we have to remember, as superheroes, we've become weak. And what we mean by superpowers is that you were born to bulletproof yourself with your superpowers. It's your birthright. You didn't earn it. You didn't train for it. You didn't have to go out and get it. You started with it, and we began screwing it up there. So I think that the thing that's I just kind of want to share with you guys is that a lot of times when people are wondering like why we do what we do, right? And most of you maybe know me or maybe don't know me, but I think the thing that I really want to share with you is, look, I was running this weekend, and when I was running this weekend, there was people outside, and I don't know if you guys have felt this way recently, but I just had to get outside, right? I mean, because there was people out there with masks on trying to protect themselves from something they can't see, something they can't taste, something they can't smell, something they can't hear. And after a month of this, everyone's wearing masks. It actually starts to make it seem normal there. But really what got me to stop this morning was I saw a man, and he was walking with a mask, and he had a hole cut in his mask so that he could actually put a cigarette in his mouth and smoke while he walked. Like, I imagine you'd also stop, not just because of the mask, but because of the incongruence of someone, trying not to get sick while doing something that everybody knows is putting them at risk. So as we get started here, I just remember, a story about Albert Einstein, and he was teaching a class a long time ago. One day he decided to pass out a test to his students, and one of the students looked at the test, and he was a little confused, and he raised his hand, and he said, Professor Einstein, I noticed your questions that you're asking on this test are the same questions, the same ones that you asked us last year. And Einstein said the questions are the same, the answers are different. Okay, so we just talked about some of the statistics, but people have been asking the same questions for hundreds of years. How do I stay healthy? How do I minimize the chance of getting sick? How do I minimize the chances of avoiding a virus or being killed by a virus? How do I minimize the chances of not having to take drugs or surgery? The questions are the same, but the answers we're going to give you tonight are different. And that's why I'm here. If you don't know me, my name is Dr. TJ Osborne. I just really want to acknowledge you for being here. This isn't my webinar, it's your webinar. And I just want to make sure, that you're in the right place, and I have one question for you guys, really. When is enough enough, right? When is enough enough? And if you know the answer to that, just type it in. But, and I just want you guys to know tonight we're going to be talking about the most effective, the most natural way, the most economical way to really minimize the chances of being hit by this deadly virus or bacteria or heart disease or cancer or whatever else you fear. I mean, right now we spend $2 trillion on what's, the country considers the best healthcare system in the world. And yet all we can come up with is to stay at home and wash our hands, no hugging, no high fives, and just what we call hoping and praying for a vaccine. Look, I hope and I pray tonight that our leadership's going to wake up and say that we're going to, we're not going to do this every year. Is this the new normal that we're moving forward? And I just know that next year there's going to be another virus. And in fact, the media has already said, prepare for that virus, right? And the problem is that we're focusing on this badass virus rather than the fact that we are badass and we are designed to deal with a virus. And if you go Google, coronavirus, there are literally 14 billion results. There's more than enough information. I'm not going to speak to you tonight about to inform you, but I just want to transform you. And I think that's an important thing. Just Google this, share it, but you can get all this information, but I want you to be able to transform your life. And so I just want, as kind of we move forward through this whole process tonight, there's a couple of things that are super important. I'm going to see if I can bring this up. Is this: we got to understand how our immune system works. And so this is what this superhero looks like to you. So to me, it's really fascinating that there's, if you understand how brilliant and powerful you are, it's fascinating that there's this communication between the brilliant mother and a remarkable child. And that child's going to communicate with its mother through the saliva to her nipple. And that will tell the mother what nutritional needs the child has, what its immune system needs are, and the mother generates exactly what that child needs. Think about that. That communication. We didn't understand that 5 years ago, and we do now. That's how well designed you are to be able to fight a virus. We talked tonight about our bodies being intelligent. You tell me that mom does not have a superpower to produce that. What about your gut wall? It's permeable until you're 2 years of age, and then it starts to close down, which allows the mother's milk to pass through it to nourish and to provide the child and support it with the immune system of the mother. But just as that wall starts to close down and the teeth start to break through, there's a sign. This is a sign that the child's ready to have whole foods and really come off the breast. So tell me that's not a superpower. And what about the fact that we have cells in our immune system that are specifically there to kill cancer cells? I mean, all cells start to derail, they start to derail, but there's cells that are there to kill off those cancer cells. And most people don't even know that they have cancer in their body at all until they have symptoms. But God put a very specific cell, a specific warrior as part of your immune system that all it does is look for cancer cells. So that's how powerful your body is. And do not forget this. And how about how your body responds to infection? What it does is it heats up to kill a virus or a pathogen. I mean, how brilliant is that? I want you to just be in awe of yourself as we move through this. And what about vomiting, right? I hope none of you are vomiting right now, but can you imagine, like, if your body was specifically designed to reject like a toxic substance? So just remember, you are brilliant and powerful. And so the impact of this is that I want you to remember the hero in the story. The impact of us forgetting this, though, is that the world shuts down. Not your city, not your state, not the United States, but the 7.5 billion people in the world are being shut down. And the impact of us walking around makes us, somebody with a cigarette sticking out of their mask seem normal. But it also makes us feel weak. And you tell me if there's a bigger impact on us than all those people that are dying immunocompromised, right? And that's the thing I want you to keep remembering. It's immunocompromised. Everyone is impacted because a part of our society has a weak immune system, and we have to do this. We got to get our superhero powers back. And we've never had a shutdown like this, right? I mean, there's a few examples in history, but let's dive in so we can prepare as much as possible. One of the worst things that we can do right now is hide from what's going on. We don't want to put our head in the sand. We want to look at this situation with our eyes wide open. We want to gather information from reliable sources and trusted voices and really follow that at this time. But we're not going to fix the impact, okay? And I need you to understand this. We're like, just by us sheltering in place, we're not going to fix the problem. We have to fix the cause. So what is the cause? It reminds me, it's actually, when I first started practice, this is one of my favorite stories, and I probably told it 1,000 times, but I had a patient once that had type 2 diabetes, and they were overweight, and they were taking all kinds of meds, and I told them, I said, look, they told me that this runs in their family, and they said diabetes runs in my family, and I just looked at her with love, and I said, no one runs in your family. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs that we have that are going to kill people. And the problem is that she passes that belief onto her children, just like her mother passed that belief onto her. What are we passing on onto our children right now? Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to lack of personal responsibility. I mean, who's responsible for your health? Is it your doctor? No. Is it McDonald's? No. Is it a lawyer? No. Who is it? Right? So the first thing is that we want to take personal responsibility. Number two is that, actually number three is that we've lowered our expectations of health. And really the third thing is the third reason, well, I'm going to tell you that later because because it's important. So just remember, we have to take personal responsibility. We have to raise our expectations of our health moving forward. And I'll tell you the third reason why we're in this situation. But the first thing that I need you to understand is a concept. And I really taught this 25 years ago when I started in practice. And And it really helps people understand why their health goes sideways, because people actually think that they're healthy Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then they get sick on Thursday and Friday, and suddenly Saturday they're healthy again. I mean, they think that there's like this toggle switch between healthy and sick, and really it looks more like this. Most people are living their lives somewhere between sick and not sick, and they never really truly get healthy. I mean, there is a difference between being sick and symptomatic, and sick and asymptomatic. You can have no symptoms and be sick, and you can also have symptoms and be sick. There's a difference also between being sick with a diagnosis and not being sick and undiagnosis, without a diagnosis. But there's a massive difference between not being sick and being healthy. And so before we move forward, I just want you to choose what category you're in. You don't have to post it, but I want you to think about, are you sick? Are you just not sick? Are you experiencing vibrant health right now? I mean, this is a huge question, because unless you own this, nothing else that I talk about is going to make any sense, or it's going to matter there. So where are you right now? All right. So this is what I want to introduce you to tonight. And this is what we call the wellness paradigm. And I suggest this is really a better way to think about your health, because the truth is your health is dynamic. It's always changing. And this really represents the potential spectrum of health. On the far left-hand side, we have disability and death. On the far right side, we have perfect health. If you're a perfect 10, you're living a maximized life. 0 in the middle, this neutral point there. And to all the way to the left is negative 10, right? Positive 10 is perfect health. Negative 10 is the red zone right there. It means you're disabled or you're dead. So here's what I know about this continuum, and here's what I want you to do right now: is mentally place yourself on this continuum. Are you in this all the way to the right in extraordinary maximized health, or are you all the way to the left in with disability and disease and nearing death? You're going to have to put yourself into that place there, and I think that it's just a mental exercise, just like the last one, so what I want you to know is that this right here, this scale it's a dynamic scale. It's fluid. Where you are is not static. Like if you're in absolute masterful health right now, guess what? Every day, every movement, you're either moving towards more health or you're moving away from health. You're moving towards disease or away from disease. And so what I want you to do at this moment is really, put your finger on the screen and just put yourself where you are right now. And really know that, like I said, you're moving. Where are you moving? Are you moving away or towards health? And I also want everyone to know that everyone's traveling at a different velocity and speed. I mean, some people are they're moving really quickly in one direction or the other, and other people are moving, towards disease, and some people are moving really quickly towards health. But I just want you to think about this. A lot of times we get caught up in who we are, but how many of you have a spouse or a partner? What direction are they moving, right? How fast are they going in that direction? Or you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, what direction are they moving? Are they moving towards health, or are they moving to disease? How fast are they going? Or a parent or a child, are your children moving towards health, or are they moving in the other direction towards disease there? And this is a very important question that we all need to know, because it's a right now thing. It's not a someday thing. It's a right now thing. Now, the next question I want to ask you is, what direction do you want them to go? What direction do you want to go? See, if I was to ask the same people, and maybe a better question would be is if I was to ask those people that I just asked you about what direction they want you to go, what would they say? I don't think anybody would say they want you to go all the way to the left there. But what do you think they would tell you what direction they see you going in? So this is about getting real right now and really understanding where we are, because if we don't understand where we are, we're never going to be able to understand where we're going there. So unfortunately, I have a typo there, and I didn't realize it till now, but it's interesting how the brain picks things up. But I think the big question is that everybody's in agreement, right? This is the conversation that's already happening. We're all hearing about the COVID-19, that it's dangerous and highly contagious. But you have to understand that it's very specific, that it's contagious to the immune compromised, and it's highly contagious to anyone, but that's immune compromised. But it's contagious to everyone, but it's not dangerous to everyone. It's only dangerous to the immunocompromised. This is a big thing. Contagious versus dangerous. Okay. So what does it mean to be immunocompromised, and who's immunocompromised in the first place? I mean, how do you know that you're not immunocompromised? And that's the question that we should be asking, right? Because this is dangerous to the immunocompromised. What do I need to start doing right now to take control of my health? What am I not doing right now? And so am I one of those immunocompromised people that are at risk? When we know this, we can actually take control of our health. So here are some examples of what we call immunocompromised, the genetic disorders. I have a patient that has a genetic predisposition to have a weak immune system. They have a condition called cystic fibrosis, which means that if they got this or any other respiratory virus, it would overrun their body, and it would be absolutely devastating. Okay, so I acknowledge there are definitely some genetic issues that are out there. Second group, it's not a genetic issue. These are the other people that you hear about, the ones that are predisposed because they have a lifestyle or a lifestyle condition like obesity and diabetes and heart disease. I mean, these are things that have compromised them because of the lifestyle that they've been living, not where they're at right now. They're compromised because of the lifestyle that they've been living. Okay, and this is a big thing. So if you're in this group, just know that if you don't want to be in this immunocompromised group, then you're going to have to start to make some changes. Or there are people that are sick, right? And we have a lot of patients here that are going through chemotherapy, which really turns your immune system down. Otherwise, we also have people who are taking drugs for psoriatic arthritis, or which suppress your immune system. You've been seeing that all over the TV. You listen to the fast words when they talk about these psoriatic arthritis drugs. Or there's also people that are taking medications for blood pressure, which has been shown to make people susceptible there. Things like Advil, like acetaminophen, has been shown to put people at risk of to deal with this COVID there. And but the one thing that we hear about the most is the elderly. And this is important to understand, because just like all systems of the body, like the musculoskeletal system, the digestive system, the cardiovascular system, all the systems of the body eventually begin to wind down. And the immune system really is no exception there. So most of the elderly, they really have this, they've accelerated this process because they've literally spent the last 30 or 40 or 50 years even living in a genetically incongruent lifestyle. They've been living a terrifically unhealthy lifestyle. And it's the compound effect of that over time that has been compounding the sickness there. And so I really, I think one of the things that we have to understand is not just because somebody's old, right? When does somebody become old? Is it 65, 70, 71, 72? One of my favorite stories, I have one of our elderly patients, she had vertigo, and she goes into her doctor, and the doctor says, yeah, you have the vertigo just because you're old. And she said, old? I was 88 last year and I didn't have vertigo. Does it mean I'm old now because I'm 89? And he looked at it and didn't have an answer for her. So what we have to realize is that it has nothing necessarily to do with age, but the compounding effect of a dysfunctional lifestyle over time that puts us at risk. So you'll see some people that might be younger than some of the older people that are susceptible. And the reason being is because of the lifestyle that they've lived up to this point there. So I guess the next thing I want to really introduce you is to this. And if you can get this concept, it's going to be massively important to you. You don't get sick, you do sick. All right, I'm going to repeat that to you. You don't get sick, you do sick. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to this. The consciousness that I'm trying to avoid the germ, or the virus, that pervasive consciousness that's causing all the stress is really causing a compromised immune system. Everyone's trying to run and hide from this germ, and I want to teach you a different way to think about this, because many times when I speak, I've had a pocket full of acorns, and I pull them out and I show the room and I ask them what this is, and what do acorns become? Everybody goes, like a tree. I'm like, well, what kind of tree, right? It's not a banana tree, it's not a fig tree, it's a oak tree, because when you look at that seed, that's an oak tree in your hand there. Now, if I was to take them and throw them in the corner of my office right now, how long do you think it's going to take for that acorn that is genetically designed, it has all the information, has everything to become a massive oak tree? How long do you think that's going to take for that acorn to actually turn into an oak tree, right? Would it happen? days, weeks, months, years, would it ever happen? But you guys said that it was actually going to be an oak tree. It was going to be an oak tree, but it's missing something. It's missing sunlight. It's missing soil. It's missing rain. But what it's really missing is the right environment for it to grow. That seed is nothing but potential. Just like a virus is nothing but potential. A seed looks for the right soil. It's an opportunist looking for the right environment. And the idea of you being able to avoid germs. Look, I studied biology, and germs are everywhere. You just can't avoid them. Like, look, Dave, if you were to look under an electron microscope at your wife's mouth, you'd never kiss her again. I'm just messing with you. But avoiding germs is a terrible strategy. Like, that's the worst thing that we can do, is having our whole health plan trying to avoid germs. We've been focusing all of our energy and occupying our time trying to avoid germs. What we need to do is we need to become better dirt, right? We need to have, we need to turn into cement to viruses, and we need to be better, healthy dirt for health. So this is what I'm going to talk about right now. So we're going to talk about the 5 things to focus on. If you're a patient in the office, you've heard them time and time again. You know, we talk about your nervous system. We talk about nutrition. We talk about mindset. We talk about oxygen and minimizing toxins. 4 of them are things that are going to impact your health, like I talked about earlier, and 1 of them is going to be the thing that controls your health. So that now that you guys understand how your immune system works to fight infections and prevent disease, we got to talk about some practical immune boosting techniques for optimal disease prevention there. But exactly today, you're going to discover those things. And I'm going to teach you what I'm doing inside my practice, so you don't screw up the work that I'm doing on the outside of the office. And what I mean by that is that we do so much good work on the inside of here, but if you don't have a plan on the outside, you're going to screw up all the good work, and you're going to be like, hey, what we're doing doesn't work. It's not what we're doing. It's what you're doing on the outside, the other 23 hours and 45 minutes that you're not in the office that's going to have an impact. We want to focus on the thing that controls your health and support it with the things that impact your health, so your lifestyle works for you, not against you. So what we're going to show you is the do's and don'ts, the things to stop doing, the things to start doing. You're either going to be adding these things that will optimize your superpowers, or you're just going to be continuing to add things that are kryptonite to your immune system right now. So really, we got to focus, okay? And we have to focus on this right now, because distraction is what's going on in our world right now. And this is where we need to focus. We need to focus on the things that we have control over. You have no control over where a virus is. You have no control over, when the lockdown ends. You have no control over whether you're going to go back to work or not go back to work. You have no control over so many things right now. But what you do have control of is what's in front of you, the actions that you're taking. So we want to focus on our control of the things that focus on controlling the things that we can there. And really, we need to find the eye of the storm. And that's where the calm is. So when we focus on the eye of the storm, where the center of everything is, that's where the calm is, of everything going around you. And that's where we can make a plan, because the don't want it, I had it, have it, not going to get it, like all that stuff doesn't matter, right? Because you can't control any of those things. It's all about having a plan right now. So what's the problem? We talked about this, immunocompromised people. Yes, what's going on right now is no joke. We have this population of immunocompromised people that are being infected by a virus. We got to dive into this right now so that you can make the best choices for you and your family. So we just got to make these choices that are proactive and to get on the offensive with this, because that's the only thing that we can do. We can't wait on defense. We have to go on offense, because anytime we're in a crisis, it's necessary to take action there. So let's dive right into it, guys. Look, so here's the first thing. Let's just cut it short. Like, if you don't look at anything else and listen to anything else, you just know these are your things that you can do to start promoting health in your life. Obviously, get adjusted. Studies show that when you get adjusted, it increases your white blood cells. It increases your strength of your immune system. One study said somewhere up to 200 to 300% when they're comparing HIV patients that were getting adjusted. All the studies that are out there shows that when people get adjusted, it reduces their stress hormone levels. Making sure you're taking vitamin C, right? Vitamin C, like is essential for your body to function there. We just have to make sure that looking at our mindset there, right? We also got to eat healthy. And so when we're eating healthy, the vitamin, we just have to make sure that we're getting the things in there that build our body up. Just on a side note, when we were talking about our vitamin C, our vitamin D, and our vitamin K2, vitamin D really boosts your immunity because it builds something called a leukocyte, all right? So vitamin D has a little antenna on, the white blood cells have a little antenna on it. They don't become activated until vitamin D contacts them, and then it activates that leukocyte there. And there's a huge correlation between infections and vitamin D deficiency. The problem is that, you go to your doctor, they say your vitamin D levels are normal as long as it's above 25. If you have your vitamin D results, look at them. They need to be above 65. I try to keep mine between 80 and 90. And so vitamin K, it also helps the absorption of vitamin D. And a lot of times, if you're not taking vitamin K with D, what will happen is that extra calcium will be deposited not into your bones, but into the soft tissue like the arteries of your heart. Vitamin C is a massive antioxidant. It's known that viruses will develop in an oxidized environment. So vitamin C is an antioxidant. Viruses develop in an oxidized environment. So if we want to create an environment that's not oxidized, let's make sure we're taking at least 2 grams of vitamin C there. There's a couple other things like NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and that's an important one, especially now because it ensures the strong protection for the lungs. It's also a precursor of like our most important antioxidant that our body makes, within the respiratory system. And if you are on if you have like something like COPD, you should take at least 600 milligrams twice a day. But it's a cofactor for glutathione, which will also transformation. And glutathione is your body's natural antioxidant. Another one is zinc. It's also an important cofactor in your gut health. And it's also important for the repair of your DNA. And melatonin, is also important at this time there, also to be able to help you sleep. And unfortunately, many adults are deficient in their curcumin. Is another thing that you can take, which is will actually boost your immune system. It'll raise it reduces systemic inflammation. There's some essential oils like thyme and oregano. But just really remember that viruses only adhere to cell membranes, and they only invade cell membranes if the barriers are low. So you want to create a strong cell, making sure you're taking your omega-3s there to be able to keep that cell wall strong there. And kids, just make sure your kids are supplementing too. When we're looking at exercising, walking, we put every single day we've been putting up surge training at workouts there, resistance training like weightlifting, push-ups, body weight, yoga. Those walking, resistance training, and yoga. It's a powerful trio that will help you. And then I think the most important thing is thinking positive, right? You think the best and prepare for the worst. You don't think the worst and hope for the best, right? But be mindful. Don't get caught up in that downward spiral of all the information that's coming in right now. You just got to trust your instincts, trust yourself, trust your voice there, and staying hydrated. We'll talk about in a second. So here's the big do's and don'ts there, okay? I always talk about, every single talk, I always talk about sugar. And in this situation, it's incredibly important because sugar suppresses your immune system. And literally, the reason being is sugar and vitamin C are actually nearly identical molecules. And so when you eat sugar, it binds to the receptor, which is the door into the cell, and it binds to that, and it prevents vitamin C from getting into the cell. Problem is that when that happens is that we're not able to mount a good immune system, especially in fighting viruses right now. So we want to really look at having unlimited vegetables, abundant, lean, and natural meats. We have all kinds of videos online that you can follow up for more information on that. But some fruits and nuts and seeds, making sure you're sticking with berries. Don't go eating like peaches and pears and high sugar foods there. But obviously, we want to really drink a lot of water right now. I try to drink about half my body weight in ounces there. Our whole foods, we want to have whole and processed food in its natural state. But we're going to talk about more of that in a minute. But also making sure that the foods that we're eating, they don't have a toxic burden. Like making sure that right now, let's eat organic. Stay away from the GMO foods that are toxic, and those things are going to tax your cells. But so look, stay away from. Do eat non-starchy vegetables. Those are the green ones, by the way, if you ever wanted to know. You know, stay away from the cereals and the grains and all the sweeteners. Especially, remember we just talked about making sure that we have you know, good omega-3s to make the cell wall strong. You know, one of the things that happens is when we have bad oils, like, you know, safflower oil, canola oil, you know, all the vegetable oils, those things will create a lot of oxidation and weaken your immune system. Stay away from dairy products right now. Dairy products are a natural congestio. Sodas and juices and alcohol. Look, I talked about this the other day, but the liquor store next to my office said that they're selling almost as much alcohol as they do on New Year's Eve every single day. So we really want to make sure that sugar, like juices and sugars and sodas, they have tons of sugar in there, which are going to suppress your immune system. So if you're hiding out in your house and you're trying to stay away from this virus and you're concerned, the worst thing that you can do is be sitting there drinking a bottle of wine or 2 bottles or 4 bottles. So here's the supplements, like I talked about, I'm going to really suggest during this time. Your omega-3s. They reduce chronic cellular inflammation. Your probiotics, which help build your normal gut flora. That's where about 80% of your immune system is. So if you've taken an antibiotic in the last year, you definitely have a gut problem there. Making sure you're taking a whole food supplement, a multivitamin, meaning that it's not like a Centrum Silver where it's just built in the lab. What we want to make sure is that you get this like a whole food supplement. That means your body can actually digest it, because most of our foods, even if you're buying organic, are still deficient there. Vitamin C we talked about, vitamin D, and also making sure that you're getting your B vitamins, because those are your stress vitamins, and trying to take some selenium during this time. Now, exercise, know this, it's a required nutrient. Like, so this time right now, you can do all the right things, but remember I talked about there's 4 things that are going to impact your health. One of them is going to be exercise. It's a required nutrient for you. And the reason being is that lack of movement is going to upset function of your cells. And so your movement patterns, they're the things that drive your normal cycles, your cell cycles, like your rest and your sleep. If you guys notice, your rest sleep cycles have been all messed up, especially if you've been sitting on the couch. It helps you deal with social stress. And so sometimes the lack of not interacting with people is just as much stress as social stress, interacting with too many people. But movement promotes normal, healthy circulation of your blood, as well as lymphatic flow. The lymph is really, your lymph system is really the janitor of the system of your body. It's crucial really for you to optimize function of your immune system there. I would encourage you guys, on a side note, to make sure you tune in every day. Dr. Doss has been doing a great job of putting workouts every single day. And they're 12-minute workouts. They're not like you're having to go out and run 10 miles there. So at the end of the day, what do? Let's sleep 7 to 8 hours, right? Your body that likes routine. And so right now you're creating the routines that are going to impact you moving forward there. So I'm going to suggest that you guys do an e-fast, which is to get rid of all electronics, before you go to bed. It's okay to nap every day. In fact, every day I come home and I take a nap for about 20 minutes at lunchtime. But when you're trying to fight something, when somebody's sick, what do? They sleep. So if you want to not become sick, what do? You sleep. But make sure you don't start sleeping at 2 in the morning and wake up at 10 or 11 in the morning. Go to sleep at a normal time. Pretend that you're working right now. Pretend it's normal life, and your body will love you for it. So I guess we talked about, where we are. Yeah, it's contagious versus dangerous. And there's a lot that we know and that we don't know. But number one, we know it's a virus. We know how viruses behave. Some are contagious, some are dangerous, and some are contagious and dangerous, and some are contagious and not dangerous, okay? But there's a difference between contagious and dangerous. And I want to just turn back to this for a second. This is a contagious virus. And like I said, it's dangerous to a group of people. And there are a small percentage of people that it's dangerous to, and those are the immunocompromised. And I just want to remind you of that. So while everybody's in a panic right now, the World Health Organization has said there's even deadlier viruses that most people are forgetting about, and it's this year's flu virus. This flu virus that came by, it's still hitting the United States right now. The CDC actually estimated that, based on what they call the weekly influenza surveillance data, that at least 12,000 people have already died between October 1st and February 1st. I don't even have the updated stats on that. But the deaths this year just from the flu virus might be as high as 30,000. And what's interesting is that they just came out with what's called the new ICD-10 code that says some of these people that are dying, if they assume that it was a coronavirus death, they're just going to call it a coronavirus death. So to a degree, we don't even know what we're dealing with there. What's interesting, the CDC also estimates that from the flu, not corona, that there were 31 million people that were already caught up in this flu season. And they had between almost up to 370,000 people actually were in the hospital because of this year's flu season. So I just want you to keep perspective there, and how these numbers add up there. And because it looks like, the 2019-20 flu death toll won't be as high as it was in 2017 and 18 when, think about this. There were 61,000 deaths in the United States that were linked to the flu virus. Think about that. Like, did you hear about that? Were we stuck in sheltering in place? Were we wearing masks all the time? In 2018 and 19, there was 34,000 flu deaths. Like, nobody was talking about this. So I just want you to keep perspective on what is going on right now. And the only thing you can control is not a statistic, but you can control yourself and your immunity. So that's why I think it's important right now that we got to get that spark back. We got to start about how we're thinking there. We got to go back to how we want our immune system to be burning bright there. We got to choose that spark, and it's absolutely critical because your thoughts determine your actions, your thought life and your thought patterns. They literally have a massive influence on your body's chemistry. So where do we get our thoughts? By the people and things that we surround ourselves with. What are we watching 8 to 10 hours on the TV? Are we listening to our kids tell us, you can't go out, you can't leave the house, you're going to die if you leave the house, right? Imagine programming that you're going to die 24 hours a day for the last 30 days. Do you think that you'd be under stress? Imagine somebody's whispering in your ear, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. That would create a tremendous amount of stress, and it's really going to have an impact on your immune function there. I mean, stressful thought patterns, they produce stress hormones. They put our body into what's called an adaptive physiology, and they put you in this fight or flight response. And when you're in that fight or flight response, it down regulates your immune system. It's just like a car battery. You turn your car battery on, but you don't turn the car all the way on. So you're in that constant state of readiness. And the longer it's like that, eventually that battery will burn out. It'll become dead, right? And so what happens is we're under stress, our energy is redirected away from our immune system, and it moves to our musculoskeletal system. So when we're stressed, our body prepares to flee. The problem is that we can't flee, and then it wants to fight, but we can't fight. The last part of that is what we call the freeze. And guess what? That's what we're doing right now. And so we're all freezing because we can't run, we can't fight it. And so we're all freezing. And so I just need you to realizing the things that we talked about to stop doing, the things that you need to start doing. If you're constantly doing the things that we're telling you to stop doing, they're creating stress in your body that changes your physiology. So we got to really manage our thoughts. We got to manage toxins, and we really have to manage traumas there. And so remember when I said that there was 4 things that'll impact your health, really, and one thing that controls your health. You guys remember that? Because here's that one thing. It's your nervous system. And here's why. You have 2 parts of your nervous system. You have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic part. The parasympathetic is going to be that fight or that flight or that runaway, or even maybe what you're experiencing right now is that freeze. The other part, well, that's your love and your growth and your healing. It's that rest and digest. It's that love and connection part of your nervous system. It's the part that controls healing and repair. And that's the part where your immune system is the strongest. And to protect that immune system, guess what? You have a suit of armor protecting that immune system, protects that spinal column, which protects your spinal cord. It protects that lifeline. And that's what's going to protect you for a lifetime until things like micro traumas and macro traumas occur. And so when those macro traumas and micro traumas occur, and that's how, I'm coining this new phrase. It's called Zoom neck. I used to talk about text neck, but all these people are on Zoom now and their heads are forward and putting a tremendous amount of stress. I had people that said, oh my gosh, I'm going to wait this thing out. And they can't even move their necks now because they've been looking at the computer on Zoom for so long. So that's a micro trauma, like how we're sitting on the couch, that's a micro trauma. It's a repetitive, the things that we do on a daily basis that we should stop doing. Those are micro traumas. If your slips and falls, those are macro traumas. Car accidents, those are big ones. But the big thing to understand is those traumas, they create nerve interference and stress that interferes with that communication between your brain and your body. And if it creates a problem, it's called subluxation. You will start to get joint misalignment, soft tissue damage, nerve irritation. We'll start to get loss of the ability of those discs to be able to get nutrients to them. And we start seeing accelerated degeneration. And it also is going to create elevated stress hormones, which puts us into that fight or flight, which raises our cortisol levels, which, like I said earlier, it's going to suppress our immune system. So what do we do about it? Look, I just remember, this is how you become a superhero, right? You have to remember that health is normal for you. You have to remember that your body is smart, right? Remember that I told the story about the mother nursing, knowing exactly just from the saliva of the child, what nutrients and what type of immune cells that it needs. You have to remember that your nervous system is the master system. It's the one that determines how you respond to and how you cope with stress. And you have to remember that your spine is a suit of armor there to protect that nervous system so that you can adapt better to a stressful world. And you also have to remember that, look, life that we live in, even in the best of times, is stressful there. So how do we know that we're in a stress response? Well, this happens because of there's stress in your nervous system, because that's how you perceive the world, is through your nervous system. So every touch, taste, smell, sight, sound, everything that you're experiencing, when your nervous system gets stressed, you go into this fight or flight mode. Hormones are released, and things like catecholamines, and this is, I might talk some doctor talk here, but things like catecholamines and epinephrine and norepinephrine and cortisol, these are the things that change the function of your body when you're under stress. These stress hormones actually change the function of your body. And here's what happens when you're in a stress response. Your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up, right? Your blood pressure is going to go up whether with a real or perceived stress. Your heart rate's going to increase whether there's a real or perceived stress. So whether you're watching the news, check your blood pressure next time you're watching the news. Your muscle tone is going to go up with a state of readiness. Your digestion initially is going to speed up, right? Have you ever heard of somebody getting scared and they poop their pants, right? Initially, it's going to speed up, but then it's going to slow down. And it's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of people that I haven't seen in the last couple of weeks or the last month. They're coming in with all kinds of constipation and digestive issues there. Our sex drive and our reproduction slows down there. It was interesting. They talked about, that in 9 months, we're going to have a whole bunch of kids. I don't think it's going to be as big as we think it's going to be because of the amount, how it affects our sex drive and our reproduction there. It gets down regulated when you're under stress. You don't want to try to have a kid when you're running from a tiger. A lady come in today and she said she was just so depressed. And the reason being is that when we're under stress, serotonin, your happy hormone, is down regulated there. We get hypersensitive, right? Our sensitivity, we start having fear and anxiety. Our immune system gets down-regulated. And guess what happens? Our blood sugar sensitivity, meaning that our blood sugar levels are going to go up. And so if you have diabetes issue, that you're going to have more difficulty controlling your blood sugar, our HDLs and our LDLs. Those things will actually are produced for coping with stress. So you're going to find all of your blood fats are going to be out of control there. Our clotting factor is going to go up, and we're not going to be able to sleep. You would think I don't have to do anything, but why can't I sleep through the night? It's because we're in this massive stress response right now. So look, we just got to start adjusting for recovery. So a couple of things that are really important right now. Do this. Number one, first thing that we've done in the office is just get adjusted, introduce, and I want to make sure that for our patients that are active patients, whatever your regular plan is, we added an extra adjustment to make sure that you're getting the very best out of your care to help you adapt the most. It's actually at no charge, that extra adjustment during the week there. And we do that because it's the right thing to do. The second thing is this, is that, we got to help you break your bad habits, right? We got to break the bad habits that we're developing now, because we'll have to break them eventually in the future there. So start looking at the things that you're doing that you should stop doing there. We need to start eating right. We need to start having good physical movement and exercise there. We need to get that good, proper rest. So here's where we're going to talk about choices. There's only 3 things going through your day. I want you to start asking yourself, what do I need to stop doing? What do I need to slow down doing, right? Maybe you can't stop doing something suddenly, or maybe what I need to do is, what do I need to start doing there? And the thing that's important about this is, like I said earlier, we're trying to strategically build our immune system there. And I want to talk about these choices as they impact our ability to fight infection and stay well. Remember, you don't get sick, you do sick. You do sick by what you do, right? What are you doing right now? What do you need to stop doing? I want you to start doing healthy. I want you to, take that traffic light approach. We all love our to-do list, right? But some of us need a stop doing list. Stop doing your to-do list. I want to start exercising. I want to start doing this. Maybe we should start on a stop doing list right now if you can't figure out what you want to do. But there are some things that we need to do and reduce and slow down. And this is right now, guys, look, it's not about perfection. It's about progression. Can you just type in yes if you understand the difference between perfection and progression? Just breathe that in, okay? Take a deep breath. Nobody's ever been perfect. Just let go of that pursuit of perfection, because I guarantee you, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, trying to be perfect is going to stress you out. And the number one why people have weak immune systems right now is that mental stress. What a downward spiral that is. We're trying to be perfect and the stresses us out and we're just going down. So stop the toxic behaviors. That's a huge part of the equation there. But there are some things that we need to start doing to boost our immune system. So, and you guys, we've already gone over a lot of those. So stop eating grains, stop eating gluten. It's going to inflame your gut there. Listen to your body. Listen to that innate intelligence in your body. I know you want to be healthy. So let's start avoiding the kryptonite there and just unleash that inner superhero. I want you to have all of your wishes, right, of what you want for your life. So let's do the right things to ensure that the health and safety of your family. If you're only going to stop doing three things: avoid grains, because they're going to cause inflammation and they're going to cause chronic bronchial inflammation there. Avoid dairy, which is going to cause a thickening of the respiratory mucosa, and really start getting as many organic, fresh green vegetables that will just diminish your toxic liver load, which is caused by a high sugar intake of junk food and processed food there. So just know that going through the day is the things that I'm putting into my body, the stresses that I'm putting into my body, is it causing me to be immunocompromised? And that's a much more powerful thing, because when it's this virus that's out there, that's like oxygen to the victim. Like, you have no control of that. But the moment that you start taking control, you become a victor there. So what do we need to start doing, right? If you're already sick, if you're already experiencing symptoms, or maybe you are feeling like you're one of those categories of immunocompromised people that have been doing things wrong for the last 40 years. Or maybe you've been doing things wrong for the last month. Or maybe you're starting to get the sniffle, or if you have a sore throat there, or maybe you have any other health issues. The plan is really the same. Rest. Take it easy. Like, if you're really experiencing a lot of symptoms, do not try to all of a sudden run a marathon. Don't try to all of a sudden do high intensity exercise. Maybe just take it easy. Let your sleep as much as possible. Make sure you're getting extra adjustments. I think the worst thing that people can do when they're experiencing less than optimal health is missing their adjustments. What we do know about the adjustment, when somebody gets adjustment, everything in their body works better there. Try to limit and avoid stressful situations like the TV. Stop listening to the people that drive you crazy, right? Avoid those phone calls for the person all they want to do is talk politics there. Stay away from sugar. If you're sick, stay away from sugar. Ice cream does not help you get better, just so you know. Drink your water. Eat simple, nutrient-dense food. Try to make it as raw as possible. Things like bone broth and soups and vegetable-based smoothies are really good. Make sure you get the supplements that we were talking about, and just give your body time to be able to heal. Remember, there's no process that doesn't take time. I think when we look at this, I just want to kind of share you with this. I had a mom that came in, and she had triplets. And you're like, oh my gosh. Well, what do moms that have triplets know? They know moms that have quadruplets. And she referred me, and I said, okay, so here's the first thing. You guys aren't allowed to come in at the same time. Like there's no way you guys are coming in at the same time. I can't have, 7 kids in the 3 Foot and Under Club running around going crazy. So, and I think that, so I asked her when I first met her, I said, so, what do you do for yourself? And she was like, my hobby is really going to the pediatrician, because all the time, because at least one of my kids are sick. They're doing sick all the time. So I asked her, I said, like, were they all sick? And she goes, oh no, like, when one gets well, then the other one gets sick, and then the other one gets sick, then the other one gets well. And so what we did is we had the children come in, we assessed their nervous system, we took a look at them through our discovery process, and really what we found is, each one of them had issues in their spine. Each one of them had issues in their nervous system, and their bodies were constantly under stress. It was a traumatic birth. You imagine having 4 kids and then trying to fit all 4 kids into a womb, and then then with the C-section they had to pull them out because they got pulled out. They didn't have an opportunity to develop the proper gut bacteria, and so their immune system was just suppressed. Their nervous system was suppressed. They had damage to their nervous system, and so they couldn't adapt to the stresses of the world. And so the one thing that the mom said to me, and I thought was interesting, she goes, I've never had these tests done before. And I've been to a lot of doctors. And so when you have 4 kids, you go to a lot of doctors, she said. And so, look, we made a plan. She followed our recommendations. And now that mom's on the other side. And that's what I want for you guys. She ended up having a plan. And I love to hear the mom tell her new story. She had this old story of her hobby was going to the pediatrician. But about a year later, she went to their school checkup, and I mean, you have to do that wellness checkup to get into school. And the doctor said that, what happened to you? What happened to you guys? I thought you guys moved away. We used to see you guys all the time, and you just disappeared. Well, here's the thing. They had already changed their diet, right? They were already taking supplements there. They were already exercising as a family. Well, the one thing that they didn't have is they didn't know what their nervous system looked like. By the way, I don't know if you can see that. This is the mom's ankle right here. And the craziest thing is because it changed and transformed her life so much, she literally wrote subluxation free. She had like a tattoo written subluxation free because that's how she decided to live the rest of her life without any interference. It was such a great reminder of what she wanted for her children there. Some of you might think it's crazy, but look, I guarantee you the people that think it's crazy don't have 4 kids. So I guess what I just want you to ask you is this. I mean, how many times would you like, how many of you'd like to really experience results like that mom, right? Because when it comes to your health and the health of your family, you really have the power to decide what you're going to do. I mean, you're free to choose. Think about this. Like everybody that's listening right now, imagine 6 months or a year from today, and your immune system's either going to be getting stronger or weaker based on what we talked about today. And statistically, and this is what the news says, we're going to have another situation, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now. This isn't going away. There's always going to be viruses out there. And I want you to move forward into the future. And I want you to ask yourself, wouldn't you be glad looking back on this day or that you made a change that changed how your immune system worked? Or think about, will you be wishing that looking back on this day, that you wish you had done something or you had taken some action there? I mean, because here's the thing, however you wish, whether you did something in the past or you did not do it, the time is going to pass. And so not doing something, I promise you, is not a safe strategy. Not taking action is not a safe strategy. People have so many regrets of the things that they didn't do. That's just life. And so, I mean, do you feel like that mom and with the kids, if she didn't come in, she would have regretted it? Of course she would. But what happened? If you make today your day, if you make tonight your night, right? And what we found at this time is the world has shut down because of our value for our health. But what if you took responsibility over the next 6 months and you woke up with the peace of mind that you're absolutely doing everything that you can to protect the most important asset that you have, which is your health? I mean, how awesome would that feel? And that's why we developed our discovery process in the office. Let me just tell you what it's not. It's not you coming into my office, waiting for an hour, seeing me for 5 minutes, and walking away with a list of drugs, right? We just don't do that. But here's what we do is that we're going to sit down with you, and we're going to help you understand your health patterns, right? We're going to help you understand how you got into this position there. And what we're going to also do is we're going to do a nervous system scan. We're going to look at how your nervous system is functioning, how much stress that it's under. We're going to look at your posture, because the posture is your window to your nervous system. We're also going to take pictures. We're going to take x-rays of your spine. We're going to take digital x-rays, and that's going to allow us to know how long that damage has been to your spine and your nervous system. Is it fully correctable? Is it not correctable? Do we have to refer you to somebody else? This is a simple problem, or is it a complicated problem? Like, what do you need to do to correct it, so that you can express your full health? And I always ask people, because a lot of times people come in here and they're like, "That's it," because they've been to the local hospital, and they're like, and I said, "Well, what do you think something like that costs?" And they're like, "Oh, like, $1,000, $2,000 for a full workup like that." Like, tonight, because of where we are right now in society, we have to do something about it. My job is to remove as many barriers as we can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something special because of this crisis. That we find ourselves in. Look, we got a family practice, and we're committed to making a difference, one person at a time. So normally it's $185 to come in. I really want you to think about this. I want you to think about, like, your family and your friends, right? Is it valuable, like, for them to know what their immune system looks like there? But I want you to think this is an important thing. Don't put it off. And the reason why I told you, remember when I told you the reason why people are sick is that they don't take responsibility. They have low standards of health. And the third reason is because of the law of diminishing intention. Have you ever said, "I'm going to do something," and then 5 days later you just don't do it, right? Like, when you say, "I'm going to start exercising on Monday," and the next thing you know, it's Wednesday and you stopped exercising. A lot of times we intend to do things, but the longer from the time that we say we're going to do it to the time that we do it, the likelihood of us ever taking action goes down. The thing is that cancer doesn't wait. Heart disease doesn't wait. Subluxation doesn't wait. Viruses don't wait. They don't wait. They don't discriminate for you to wait to take action there. And so that's why instead of the $185 for our normal exams, it's going to be $40. And what's important about that is we're going to take that $40 and we're going to donate that to our first responders. And so we want to make sure that our first responders are be able to be supported. We're not just going to be buying masks for them, but we're going to be buying things that will help support them being healthy. We're going to take that money and we're going to donate. We're going to get them vitamin D. We're going to get them the nutrients and the things that can help them build from the inside out there. So I'm just going to finish here. And I just want to talk to you about something that when my dad died of cancer, I read this story and it really impacted me. And there's a story about this family that had this very cool tradition. And really every time somebody was celebrating a birthday, they used to get together. They used to eat chocolate cake. And then after that, the person was having a happy birthday. When they were having a happy birthday, when the person was turning 20, the person would get 20 wishes. And then when the person turned 25, they would get 25 wishes, and so on and so forth. But one year they got together. The dad was turning the big 40. I'm turning the big 50. So that's nothing to me. But everyone got together, and the dad, after he saw the cake, he pulled out this huge list of 40 things that he was going to do, and he started going crazy. Like, we're going to take everybody to Disneyland, and we're going to go to Europe. I'm going to start exercising, and all these different things that he was going to do. Everybody was like psyched up. I'm going to buy a brand new Porsche, and they're cheering, and they're all having an amazing time at this party. The next year, the dad turned 41. Everyone got together. They ate the chocolate cake. And then the dad pulled out a tiny piece of paper and he said, "This year, I just have one wish. I wish I had my health back." Because you see, the dad, just like my dad, was diagnosed with cancer. See, guys, when you have your health, you have many wishes. When you don't have your health, you only have just one. And that's why I'm doing this webinar. It's my mission to make sure you and your loved ones in our community can have as many wishes as possible. And I think that's my goal today, is to teach you how to have the most effective ways to take back control of your health. And I really wanted to empower you with the knowledge to take care of you and your family and your loved ones here. So my wish for you, oops, got a little crazy there. Just listen to your body. My wish for you is to know that your body is intelligent. My wish for you is to be healthy. I want you to have all of your wishes and not wishing back for normal, like a normal times. I want you to wish that you can make do the greatest things that you can in these times. I don't want you to have to wish that you get your health back or your life back. So do the things right now to ensure the health and safety of your family. So I'm going to show you what each of you guys should have received an email. And on that email was a link. And this is a link to, there we go. Oh, hold on. Where did that go? Sorry about this. There we go. Let me close this down. Well, I don't know where that link quite is right now. Let me see if it's right here. Ta-da! There it is. You can, just give me a yes if you see it. Do you see it right there, Dr. Doss? All right. So hopefully you can see this right here. But what I want you to see is this. That we sent you, and it's all about action steps. So if you're a patient if you're not a patient in our office and you want to sign up for the discovery process, just fill your email, your name, and your phone number in there. Hit confirm. We'll give you a call tomorrow. We'll set up a time. This is going to include all of your diagnostic testing, all of your exam, and all of any X-ray, any fees if we do take pictures there. But I also wanted to give you a bonus here, and these are 11 action steps that you can do to really boost your immune system. We looked at things like family dinners, and you're working on your community and how to get oxygen to your cells. So sometimes, you might have forgotten about things, but what I want you to do is to look at these things and start to implement them. And my goal for you maybe is to start checking them off your list. If you were to check them off, your list at one at a time, think about where we'd be moving forward there. Hold on there. Where is that? There's my thing. All right, let me pull this up. I also did want to show you one last thing here. There we go. I want to show you one last thing here. We're doing something really exciting. And what I want to show you is this, we have what we developed, what we call our Discover Health Tribe page. This way you can make sure that you see everything that's coming. You don't miss anything, because right now there's all kinds of stuff going through. So all you have to do is, you might be a member of the Discover Chiropractic page, but join the health group here. We'll make sure you get everything first. I am super excited about the next thing, and that is that we are going to be doing a challenge. A lot of times people have been asking me, what's our next challenge? And this is going to be called doing our Alive Time Challenge. So a lot of times, we focus on two things. We focus, that Seneca, which is a philosopher, he said there's two things that people are afraid of dying for one reason, because they've never really truly lived. And they spent all their life doing dead time things. And so what we want to do is, we know that there's two types of things. There's alive time and dead time. And so since we have a lot of time, we're going to be focusing all of our attention on dead time there. On developing a lifetime. So each day we're going to take one thing. It's going to be a challenge each day to teach you how to have a lifetime. We'll have the challenge. We'll have a short video there. And this is something I'm super passionate about right now. So I appreciate you guys. If you're a practice member, fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep making your appointments. Keep your nervous system clear. You guys know what to do. You got your 4 things that are going to impact you, and you have your 1 thing that's going to control your health. Take care of those things. If you're not a practice member, make sure that you sign up to get your nervous system checked, because it's the only nervous system that you have, and it's the only thing that controls your health. Make sure that you discover take some of your action steps there. You should have written like 10 pages of notes. Sorry if I talk too fast, but the good news is this will still be up. We'll record it, so you'll be able to have access to it. And we'll send an email link out to you on this. And then sign up for the Lifetime Challenge. I promise you, this is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm super excited about, because it's it'll change and transform your life. So you guys take action. Cindy and Dan, thanks for being here. Ed, I can see you right there. Marie, oh my gosh. Dan, I thank you guys for participating. Bill, thank you. You guys, if you have any questions, put them on there. If you do have like concerns or like any private questions, you can just email us. at info@drtjosborne, and that looks something like this. Let me see if I can do the cool banners thing. You can go to our website, which is drtjosborne.com, which just so happens to be me. You can go to info@drtjosborne. That will go straight to that will get to me, but it'll go right onto the top shelf there. Sometimes I get a lot of emails, so the team will actually make sure that the action is taken on there. But also, if you don't have that email, that page, just tell us, and for the link to that landing page, we'll make sure you get it. So you guys have a great day. I want you to right now start sheltering with grace. Shelter in open space, get out, breathe some fresh air, and just remember that you are a superhero and you are incredible. And I thank you for sharing time with me.